sit down right there, don't go nowhere, little baby gon' shake that, 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 shit, yeah, I like that, bring that right here, sit down right there, don't go.
Welcome back, we're back with another reaction video. Today we're reacting to a Patrick CC video. The Darkest Family Guy episode banned from TV. Family Guy's didn't put out a lot of it being banned from TV means it gotta be wild, right? It has to be wild. Also, I was more of a Family Guy fan than The Simpsons, but knowing what I know now, Simpsons is probably a better written show. Actually, to be honest with you, Futurama is better than all that shit.
In the early 2000s, a literal cartoon war broke out. Writers of The Simpsons, South Park, King of the Hill, and Ren and Stimpy were all attacking Seth MacFarlane's Family Guy. But it's not hard to see why they were upset. Family Guy was successful by repeating the same lazy comedic formula over and over again for decades, leading to 9 Primetime Emmy Awards and even a Grammy nomination. With tensions at an all-time high against Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane finally decided to respond to the criticism. And as a result, he created one of the most controversial episodes in animation history. It was so bad that the Fox network refused to air it on live TV, and many lost respect for Seth MacFarlane forever.
What about South Park? They can go to hell.
Seth MacFarlane had a dark sense of humor, and he wanted to push the boundaries in the animation industry. As a kid, he was obsessed with cartoons like the Flintstones and Woody Woodpecker. He would spend hours drawing and studying these classic animated shows. By the time he
Damn, Woody Woodpecker that old too? Like, I know the Flintstones is a 60s flick, but God damn, Woody
was 9, he was already publishing a weekly comic strip for his local newspaper. But unlike other aspiring animators who were writing kid-friendly cartoons, MacFarlane's humor was intentionally offensive. He wasn't interested in heartwarming stories, he wanted to stir the pot with edgy jokes.
Did he get in any trouble for his drawing?
Yeah.
What kind of stuff?
He was the cartoonist for the school paper, and the character in his cartoon is taking communion. The comment underneath said, "Could I have fries with that, please?"
And Seth can still remember how a local priest reacted to that.
Is that not funny? Can I have fries with that? Maybe my humor is a little dark. That's a little funny.
Dear Seth, shame on you for insulting the Almighty God and those who love him.
After studying animation at the Rhode Island School of Design, MacFarlane caught the attention of Hanna-Barbera Productions with his thesis film, Life of Larry.
Is it too much for a kid to just call his parents if he's going to be out late? You know, I mean, especially in a city like this. It ain't safe, you know, Lois. I mean, even in his apartment. I mean, some nut in his underpants could just walk in off the street, bang on the door, and demand God knows what.
You guys have any Cheez-Its?
Honey, I think we should move.
During his time at Hanna-Barbera, he helped write and animate legendary cartoons like Johnny Bravo and Dexter's Laboratory. And while most animators work behind the scenes for years before ever getting the opportunity to share their own projects, MacFarlane just kind of skipped the line. He pitched a crude, low-budget cartoon about a dysfunctional family featuring an alcoholic dad, a talking dog, and a violent baby to various networks, and Fox took a gamble on him. In 1999, Family Guy was born, making Seth MacFarlane the youngest showrunner in television history. But what nobody knew at the time was that this show would go on to change the animation landscape and make Seth one of the most hated men in the industry. Over the years, Family Guy has been called many things from iconic to offensive, but if there's one word that keeps coming up, it's lazy. I enjoy Family Guy because it's something you can watch and laugh at without thinking. It has a formula, and that formula is easy to digest and laugh at without needing to pay attention. It's a good background show, something to listen to when doing something else. If you're going to expect a story, don't try to expect it from Family Guy. That's missing the point. Much of the criticism towards Family Guy is that the show has a repetitive formula, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. A large amount of the episodes are basically Peter does something stupid, Brian and Stewie go on some weird side quest, Meg gets bullied for no reason, and every few minutes they put in a random cutaway gag that has absolutely nothing to do with the story.
I thought I could deal with being blind at first, but I don't know. I haven't felt this out of place since that week I lived with Superman.
We must stop Lex Luthor before he irradiates the world's supply of gold.
Hi, sorry, I know you got a meeting going on, but we are officially running low on Mr. Pibb and Cheez-Its. Just putting it out there, if you head into the store later, 800-mile drive for me, like 5 seconds for you.
Critics believe Family Guy doesn't rely on good storytelling or deep character arcs and instead fires off quick, easy, and pointless jokes. Some hit, some miss, but it doesn't really matter because the show moves so fast that nobody has time to care. Family Guy's cutaway gags used to enhance the quality of the overall episode, making the show's style unique, but over time, they stopped being objectively funny and became random for the sake of being random.
Peter, when did you become so polite?
Oh, I've been hanging out with Caillou's beta dad. In fact, I'm meeting him at the park to eat unsalted saltines on the swings. I feel like you're wearing what Rachel Maddow would wear to a pumpkin patch.
As the years went on, many thought that the show was using these gags as a way to fill up their time slot and maybe make up for poor writing. We know for sure this is how The Simpsons creator Matt Groening felt, because he did not shy away from blatantly making fun of Family Guy in front of their millions of viewers.
Is that how you say it, Matt Groening? I thought it was Groening.
The start of 1999, Family Guy made its debut on Fox while The Simpsons was already on its 11th season. Immediately, the two shows were competing for viewers on the same network, with Family Guy pulling similar numbers to The Simpsons. The Simpsons officially ignited the beef in the episode Treehouse of Horror. In the episode, Homer discovers how to clone himself, but his attempts were not perfect. Some of the clones came out looking off. As the camera pans across the field of cloned Homers, one of them looks like Peter Griffin. Seth MacFarlane realized that this was Groening accusing Peter Griffin of being a copy of Homer Simpson, and that accusation is not too far from the truth. The Simpsons pioneered adult animation in the mainstream, proving that animated shows could appeal to more than just kids and can oftentimes be edgy and controversial. And the genius behind the show was Matt Groening. Unlike Seth MacFarlane, who had a degree in animation, Matt Groening was just a self-taught hobbyist trying to make ends meet with his cartoons. In the late 70s, he was living in Los Angeles, barely scraping by, drawing and selling his own self-published magazine called Life in Hell. After his cartoon got the attention of Hollywood producer James Brooks, who produced talk shows and small TV shows, he asked Groening to make short animated skits for The Tracy Ullman Show, which resulted in Groening creating a batch of characters for these segments called The Simpsons.
Here we have Bart Simpson, the young lad who captured the notorious candy store bandit. How does it feel to be a hero, Bart?
Pretty damn good, Phil.
Your family must be proud of you right now.
I bet they're jumping up and down.
What started out as shorts on a sketch comedy show in 1987 quickly turned into a full-length series by 1989, and from the moment it premiered, it was an instant cultural sensation. The Simpsons wasn't just another cartoon, it was the cartoon. The show took the classic family sitcom formula seen in popular shows like The Cosby Show and flipped it on its head. Instead of a picture-perfect suburban family, you had Homer, who is a beer-drinking, insane father that often physically abuses his son. Marge is a tired mother constantly trying to hold the family together. Bart is a preteen-aged menace that lives to cause chaos. Lisa is a misunderstood genius in a messed-up family, and Maggie is a baby who doesn't talk too much but has a lot of personality. And not to mention the people of Springfield, which is filled with seemingly an endless list of side characters that fans would slowly get to know over the years, such as Ned Flanders, Krusty the Clown, Sideshow Bob, Snake, Professor Frink, and so many others. What made The Simpsons revolutionary was how it could go from making fun of politics and pop culture to having genuine interactions that made the characters feel real. Like, these weren't just wacky cartoon characters, they represented people that you knew in your real life. It wasn't just about gag humor, it was about telling great stories that happened to be hilarious, and it worked. By the early 90s, The Simpsons was the most watched show on television, with viewership peaking at 15 to 20 million viewers per episode. Family Guy, on the other hand, was cancelled twice in its first 3 seasons, probably because many people felt it was the inferior copy of The Simpsons. However, they came back stronger than ever due to massive DVD sales and high ratings on reruns. The senior vice president of Fox Home Entertainment said, "Family Guy had proved an unexpected success on DVD as well. The first boxed set of episodes has sold 1.55 million, ranking number 3 among television shows behind the first season of The Simpsons on Fox and Chappelle's Show on Comedy Central."
So, funnily enough, if Family Guy was maybe in this era, or maybe like 3-5 years ago, and they had started in like if they would have started in 2020, I felt like people would have gravitated towards it because they're like, there's nothing to watch. But around like 2022-ish, if it would have started, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, I don't think it would have been, because DVDs are cooked now. So if DVD sales are the only reason, well, reruns too, but if DVD sales is one of the main driving reasons that the Family Guy got back into circulation, if it dropped now, in the first 3 seasons, normally shows ain't even getting 3 seasons if they not bussing. But in the first 3 seasons, if they was like, yeah, we're canceling you're not coming back. So they definitely got lucky with the era that they were in. For sure.
The show came back on air in 2005, it dominated, with the 4th season averaging 7.9 million viewers per episode, which at the time was more than twice as many viewers as South Park. And looking back on season 4, it's easy to see why it performed so well.
He takes the beam. The spectators hold their breath, as Stewie Griffin is America's last hope to take home the gold. Oh, did you see that, Mitch? I sure did, Kathy. That was impressive.
Season 4 is called by some peak Family Guy. It was paced well, funny, and just the right amount of offensive. The cutaways were tasteful, adding to the chaos without taking away from the story. And during Family Guy's resurgence in popularity, the Simpsons writers decided it was the perfect time to diss them once again. In Season 17, Episode 8 of The Simpsons, 2 Italian police officers are flipping through a book of known criminals. As they skip through the mugshots, you can see a picture of Peter Griffin, with the crime of plagiarismo, which means plagiarism in Italian. The diss could not be more clear, again claiming that Family Guy is stealing the premise of The Simpsons. They also threw a bonus jab in at American Dad, which is...
That's crazy. I never know these niggas had beef. Like I just heard about that on a short, like a week and a half ago. How it was the South Park creators basically talking about how they didn't like Family Guy, but then they were basically saying, yeah, no, a bunch of other shows didn't like him either. And I'm thinking in my head, why? I mean, it is weaker comedy compared to yours, and storytelling wise, what storyline do you follow? I mean, it's like Saturday morning cartoon rerun types. Right? Here's the formula. Boom, we do this, we do this, we do this. Okay, we hit the checklist. Did you laugh? You have fun? Okay. Not really learning anything. But as a kid, watching that, okay, it's cool. Once you start watching with depth, it's like, it's just Family Guy. Everybody likes background noise sometimes.
Seth MacFarlane's other show, essentially saying they are a copy of a copy. And while these jabs feel like The Simpsons play fighting with Family Guy, South Park came out of nowhere and dropped an absolute bomb on them. A diss that was so brutal that multiple writers in the animation industry personally thanked them for attacking MacFarlane. Matt Stone and Trey Parker were just two film school kids from the University of Colorado who couldn't care less about what other people thought of their humor. They both believed that comedy could be as offensive and brutally honest as possible while also having a great story. In 1992, Matt and Trey met on the set of a student project. To pass time in between takes, they would do voices for each other trying to make the other one laugh, and they instantly became best friends.
Into eating sounds? Oh, yeah.
That's a cuttlefish and That's a cuttlefish and asparagus is not sitting well. Oh no! Cuttlefish is about to come out of my...
Oh my god.
Oh, here it comes. Oh, it's going to be a rot. Hold on, Kaiser. I believe in you.
This episode is ridiculous. It's the human cat. Is it human caterpillar? Human centipede episode. It's basically a parody of this weird ass sci-fi movie that I never watched. Thank you, God. But unfortunately, I've seen the South Park episode. Oh my God. But it's hilarious though. Yeah, bro. It's not even close. Family Guy cannot. Not even. Nowhere even close get to these. All right.
At the end of every semester, the film department put on a student screening, and since it was right before Christmas, they needed something Christmassy. So Matt and Trey decided to use construction paper cutouts to animate characters and make their first short together called Jesus vs. Frosty, which would lay the foundation for what we now know as South Park. After college, both Matt and Trey moved to LA, where they would meet Fox executive Brian Graydon at a screening of their indie film, Cannibal the Musical. Brian loved their style so much, he decided to help spread their work around the industry. After some back and forth negotiations with companies like Fox and MTV, Comedy Central decided to greenlight the first episode of South Park. Although it is still in the adult animation genre, South Park takes a different approach than Family Guy and The Simpsons. South Park is all about creativity and unpredictability. One week, the elementary-aged kids are dealing with normal school drama, and the next, they're fighting a war against gnomes stealing people's underwear. And yet, that's still not even the craziest situation these kids have gotten into.
Do you like it? Do you like it, Scott? I call it Mr. and Mrs. Tenorman chili.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
I made you eat your parents.
South Park instantly turned Comedy Central from a struggling cable network to a network powerhouse, pulling in between 3.1 and 5.5 million viewers per episode. By season 2, it was breaking records. On April 22nd, 1998, the episode Cartman's Mom is Still a Dirty pulled in 6.2 million viewers, making it the highest rated non-sports show in cable history at the time. To put it into perspective, 8 of the 10 most watched shows on cable that spring were South Park episodes. In just over 1 year, Trey Parker and Matt Stone took over cable TV. They also developed a seething hatred for Family Guy. When asked about how he feels about Seth MacFarlane's empire, Trey Parker said, "There's more and more stuff every day finding its way onto American television that I think is really great, but then you get this bubblegum shit that's just like, by the book, what we call 9-to-5 comedy writers. They mostly have families and kids, and that's the most important thing. And then they go into work and write comedy, and when it's 5 o'clock, it's time to go. It's gag humor, and gag humor drives us crazy, where it's just like, here's a gag, here's a gag. It's got nothing to do with what's going on in the show, just like, here's a gag. And anyone who writes comedy knows that that is the very easiest, simplest thing to do, and you don't really need any talent to do it. You just need to learn the craft and do it." Similar frustrations were expressed by John Kricfalusi, the creator of the iconic cartoon Ren and Stimpy. If you're a kid wanting to be a cartoonist today, and you're looking at Family Guy, you don't have to aim very high. You can draw Family Guy when you're 10 years old. You don't have have to get any better than that to become a professional cartoonist. The standards are extremely low. Tensions in the animation industry were at an all-time high, with more people speaking out against Family Guy than ever. So in 2006, Matt and Trey decided to escalate the tension to a full-blown war. South Park released a 2-part episode titled Cartoon Wars. In the episode, Cartman really wants to sabotage Family Guy because he hates their lazy gag writing. As Cartman arrives to the Fox Network writing room, he is shocked to learn that Family Guy is written by manatees who pick random idea balls from a tank. Each ball contains a verb, noun, or pop culture reference, which the manatees choose an idea ball and swim it over to the joke combine. South Park essentially proves how formulaic and ridiculous Family Guy jokes are by assembling 5 idea balls that say laundry, date, winning, Mexico, Gary Coleman.
Peter, you didn't do the laundry today.
You think that's bad? Remember the time I won a date to Mexico with Gary Coleman?
¿Qué pasa, señores? What you talking about, Willis?
When this episode released, millions of people around the world witnessed South Park brutally minimize Family Guy's value to the entertainment industry. And it turns out, Matt Stone and Trey Parker were not the only ones in the industry who hated Family Guy.
After the first part aired, we got calls from people at The Simpsons saying thank you, because they actually hate Family Guy more than we do, even though they won't say it. And then we got calls from people that work on King of the Hill saying, they said, quote, you're doing God's work by ripping on Family Guy. And like, because Family Guy is kind of this, it's like the Justin Timberlake thing. It's like when you're a musician and you're doing your stuff and you're working hard and you're trying to do art, and then Justin Timberlake comes along and just rakes in all the cash and everyone thinks he's awesome. You're like, dude, come on, that's not that good.
Up until this point, MacFarlane never really responded to the jabs and criticism towards his show, but this attack was too big to ignore. Ironically, he didn't fire back at South Park. Instead, he shifted his anger towards his original haters, The Simpsons. However, many believe he took it too far, and this joke nearly destroyed his reputation forever. In a 2007 Family Guy episode titled Moving Out, at the bottom of the screen appears a bumper for The Simpsons, with a miniature Marge waving to the audience. Because both shows air on Fox, this could have easily been mistaken for a genuine promo. Then miniature Quagmire runs over and attempts to essay Marge. She fights him off and dashes off screen, but then Quagmire, with his pants around his ankles, chases after her. Then it cuts to a shot outside of The Simpsons' home where we can hear Marge and Quagmire having sex in the parents' bedroom. Homer then walks in.
I definitely remember that episode. I've seen that episode at least twice on TV, because I think I've seen it on Cartoon Network or Adult Swim, and then on Fox when it initially aired. That's crazy.
And catching them, shocked. And from there, you can hear Quagmire shoot and kill the entire Simpsons family.
Oh my god, oh my god!
You shot my homie! I'm calling the police!
So, Simpsons, R-word, and murder. Yeah, that got dark real fast. This scene was so brutal, it actually never made it to live TV. The only reason we ever got to see this scene was because it was included in the Family Guy DVD box set. Also on the DVD, Seth MacFarlane does a director's comment.
Never ever had the box set. I've seen it. I don't know. I don't know what he's telling me right now. I don't know if there's proof, but nigga, I've seen it live. I remember this. I remember this. I did remember this. Now maybe they show it on Netflix, but I definitely remember watching this like live. I remember this.
Commentary where he discusses this specific scene, doubling down that he feels this joke was not too far and it should have been aired.
I'm not going to be diplomatic because what happened here was fucking bullshit. This is a gag. I got a call from the network saying you can't do this. You cannot do this gag. And with The Simpsons, and I said, why not? They've made fun of Family Guy like 5 times, which which they're entitled to do. I mean, they make fun of everyone, and so do we. So why can't we take a little shot at them? And they said, well, because we want to end the feud. And I said, well, what feud? What are you talking about? I had talked with Matt Groening, who has a wonderful sense of humor about this stuff. And, there's no feud. Plus it's...
We actually have had a couple of writers, Simpson writers, who have written for Family Guy, Richard Pell and Brian Scott.
Yeah. I mean, they've taken many, many shots at us, again, all of which have been funny. And Fox said, well, this seems a little personal. And I said, well, how could it be any more personal than a picture of Peter Griffin on a wanted poster that says plagiarist?
They made fun of me. Why can't I make fun of them? Seth, you shot a baby. Likely due to the network just wanting the beef to be over, both Family Guy and The Simpsons stopped taking jabs at each other for a while. Allegedly, Matt Groening was upset with Seth for many years after this, and although Seth MacFarlane never apologized for this explosive joke, he has been very honest about his admiration for The Simpsons and Matt Groening.
And the Simpsons guys don't like you either, right?
That's more of a friendly rivalry. They take shots at us, we take shots at them. Matt Groening is a friend of mine. He's a great guy. That's more of like a, all in good fun kind of thing.
He even wrote a line in a Family Guy episode essentially admitting to stealing from The Simpsons. Simpsons.
Get up. You're on my side of the bed. Peter!
We act like we didn't take a lot from The Simpsons. We took a lot from The Simpsons.
They seemed to make amends by doing an official Simpsons and Family Guy crossover episode in 2014. However, there was still a tiny bit of tension behind the scenes. In the end, everyone from both camps loved it, except maybe Seth MacFarlane. The running theme of the episode was that Family Guy stole everything from The Simpsons. They made this point over and over and over and over. Apparently, at some point, Seth told his staff, "Guys, enough." It's clear that Seth MacFarlane does hold The Simpsons in high regard, but he also believes he deserves his respect. After all, Family Guy did win 9 Primetime Emmy Awards and is loved by millions of fans around the world. And it's actually because of this success that the South Park creators are jealous and hold resentment towards him. With Trey Parker saying, "The biggest thing is that you put everything into your show. It's like you've got to die for it. When you're an artist, you've got to say to yourself, this is all that matters, and if it kills me, so be it." And then you have the Family Guy writing staff who come in 9 to 5, write their gags, and go home. But what I absolutely must say to you is that this totally, purely 100% completely comes from a place of jealousy, because when we're sitting there in our room, it's 3 in the morning and we're 12 hours from having to air, and we don't have like a third act, wondering why we do this to ourselves. We're just totally jealous of their job. At the end of the day, these shows are all completely different styles of comedy, and whichever one you love the most.
Trey Parker basically said, yeah, the reason why we on their head top is because they too easy. There's no effort there. Where's the creativity? You might as well just throw a bunch of bullshit at the wall and see what sticks. I guess it's a fair criticism. Like, when it comes to cartoons like that, where again, bro, y'all don't have no storyline. I'm not analyzing this. I'm trying to see if it's funny. If it makes me laugh, I'll watch it. I don't know. South Park, yeah, y'all got good storylines, great reoccurring characters, cast, all that. Got now I don't know if we call it gag. What's the they got like Easter eggs, like references to old episodes. I love shit like that. Like, but nigga, anime better. Who cares? Go watch some anime. That's my thoughts. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share the video, share your thoughts on the video in the comment section below. Hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date when I drop videos on this channel. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Stay safe, y'all.
Everything I see and I achieve it, bitch, we best. Everything I see and I achieve it, bitch, we best. Everything Everything I'm seeing, I achieved it, bitch, you best believe it. It has been my Nintendo Switch shit, though, kick it with my kinfolk. Haters just be talking, so I really do not need their info. Yeah, their info. Yeah.